Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Pitchin It with Ben. In this episode, I am joined by Epson Tour member Gabby Lemieux. So, one question you might be having at this moment is, what is the Epson Tour? The Epson Tour is what was the Symetra Tour. So, Epson has taken over as the title sponsor of the tour and doing some incredible things. They've invested a lot of money, raising purses, making entry fees lower. And it was really cool because I had the opportunity to talk with Gabby. We recorded this episode right after the Epson announcement. So she goes into detail and explains how exciting that is and what that means for her in women's golf, her fellow competitors, the fellow other players out on tour. So it was some wonderful insight there. And we talk about all kinds of different things, what tour life is like on the Epson Tour. We talk about her time at college playing at Texas Tech, her time how she got into golf. And we also talk about, at least for a little bit, in Idaho, she won the state championship when she was in high school by 26 shots. 26. It's really unthinkable numbers. And the whole conversation with Gabby, she's just a joy to talk with. And I think I had a lot of fun talking with Gabby. I learned a lot. And I hope all of you learn a lot and have a lot of fun listening. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for listening and enjoy this episode with Gabby. Welcome back to another episode of Pitchin It with Ben. I am so excited to be joined by a former high school state champion from Idaho, a former Texas Tech Red Raider, and a current Epson Tour member, Gabby Lemieux. Gabby.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me. How's it going?
Yeah, it's been good. I'm getting some practice in and trying to get ready for the new upcoming season.
Yeah, where are you currently right now?
So I spend winters in Arizona, in Chandler, Arizona, with a guy that I met at a golf course, and he opened up a room in his house for me. So this is my winter home, basically.
That's awesome. So if I follow you on social media. Anyone that's not following you, they should be following you. But it seems like you play a lot of golf. Like what is that off-season routine for you like?
I would say mine's a lot different than a lot of girls. I'd rather go out and play 36 holes every day. I believe that, well, my opinion is, on the driving range, you hit one shot, it's a flat lie, perfect lie. I mean, it's just everything, all the conditions could be perfect, where out on the golf course, you'll rarely get that perfect flat lie that's teed up for you. So I just believe if you play, you're learning different shots, you're just reacting to basically what's given in front of you. And that's kind of my goal. I just go out there, play and play and play and play. And hopefully that's the way I'm going to get prepared and shoot as many low scores as I can until the season starts.
So as a non-professional, I love that, because playing is just like, love to play. Like, it's not necessarily the most fun to just sit there. Also, like, sitting there on the range, like, spend all this time when you don't have a lot of free time to play. Like, I don't have tons of free time to play. Playing is where I want to be, not practicing. But for you, it is different. You're professional, so I'm definitely not comparing myself to you. But
but don't get me wrong. I do still practice. So, like, say I went out and played and something was wrong. So, like, my driver was kind of maybe spraying a little bit. Like, I'll go spend, however much time it is to feel comfortable and get that back into, tip-top shape, and then say go play more, or, just feel it out, basically.
Okay. I was curious. You just literally, like, your practice is your warm-up, or maybe you do no warm-up, you just go play. I'm sure there's some rounds like that too.
Oh yeah, so before, let's see, I was back here in last November, and the guy that I play with, we just show up, I don't know, 20 minutes before our tee time, not even hit putt. I mean, we just show up and we go. So it's like everybody deserves a breakfast ball at that point.
When the no warm up, yeah. What's really funny is, like, when I'm playing with my friends, I have for me mentally, I don't know why. Like, I don't mind anyone else playing breakfast ball, or if they want to fix their lot, unless they're like trying to bet me on something. But I just want people to enjoy their time on the golf course. But I have this bet, like, I can't accept the breakfast ball. I don't know why. Even if I hit,
And play, I have to hit it.
I have to hit it. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I totally understand, especially like early, like you get up and play 36 holes a day. Is that what the normal day is, or try to play 36?
I try to, yeah. But I mean, it's early. You get up, you get out and play and have lunch, sneak in a lunch in there, and then you just go out and keep playing.
So I've seen you were so you're currently in Arizona and Chandler.
Mhm.
You were in Nevada recently, I think. You played some really cool golf courses. What are some of the ones that stand out to you, or some of your favorites?
Well, so just this last swing, I actually played, let's see, three courses that will play this year on the Symetra Tour, Epson Tour.
Epson
That's
Tour.
awesome. That's new to say. That was the first time I ever said that before. But no, so I actually played three courses that we'll get to play this year, which is Longbow, Sowelo, and then Copper Rock. All great. They're in great condition. But no, so you mentioned the Mesquite, trip that I took. I actually go with like a guys group. So just a bunch of old guys. I just go out there, we play skins. I was invited last year and then got re-invited this year. And basically it's you go to the casino, you have a few drinks, you get up, you golf, and you do it all over again.
I love that so much. You're hitting like, I think just about everyone's golf dream. It's like
Right.
the professional golf aspect, everyone wishes that they could play that good. But then you're also hitting these trips, just like casinos, having some drinks, playing golf all
Right.
day.
No, it's perfect. I mean, basically I just went over there and made a little bit of money from skins, and then I come back home and just practice.
Let's go.
Right.
Speaking of money, we talked about Epson Tour, which
Mhm.
when people hear this up, we're recording this on January 26th, 2022, which just happens to coincide with the announcement of the Epson Tour, which a
Mhm.
lot of people, hopefully they'll know when this episode gets released, they'll know what Epson Tour is. But
Mhm.
Epson is the new sponsor of what used to be the Symetra Tour.
Mhm.
And some super exciting news though with this announcement. I'm going to read through some of the announcements.
Okay.
First of all, minimum purse size is going to be $200,000, which is a big deal because half the events last year were under $200,000. So that's a big jump. They're going to be reducing entry fee costs. So they're basically going to be paying for approximately 10% of every player's entry fee, knocking that $500 entry fee down. And the goal, they're trying to get other sponsors to kind of jump in to help get the entry fees down to $250, which I'm sure all this just sounds like so great to you. And
Right.
then they also created the Epson Tour Ambassador Program, which means each of the 10 graduates will receive $10,000 to help with their transition to the LPGA, which is another massive, like a big deal. So first of all, your initial reaction, and how big is this for women's golf and for the players that are now playing on the Epson Tour?
Honestly, I think it's fantastic. I think with a lot of us girls, a lot of us pay, money out of pocket ourselves if we don't have sponsors, or, you're basically living week to week. So if we can cut those costs in half or win more money, or, just the whole mix of things, it makes it so much easier for us to take that like load off of like the stress of the money, and the why not, like, why can't we just go out there and play our best and have some fun? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. So I know like the purpose of it's deemed like developmental tour, or I like the actual slogan, the road to the LPGA. I like that the best, but it's a tour that it's not meant to be a where you go make your living. It's not
Yeah.
going to be that. However, you can break this down a little bit more. It's the way it's been. And I do want to shout out to Symetra, because Symetra did do a lot to help increase things. Like, companies are stepping up over time. Symetra did increase things a lot before from the previous sponsor. So the women's game is getting more financial support and help from all different avenues and corners. But talk about just how tough it really is. Like, you're not making a living out there. And unless you're winning, and I've talked to a few other players about this too, but unless you win like 3 times, like Lilia did last year, you're going to be making 6 figures So, and that's not really six figures because taxes and expenses and everything. But you could actually make a living. But if you're winning that much, then you're not going to be on the Epson Tour anyway. So, can you just talk about that a little bit? The struggles and how tough it's been to play on that
I
level.
mean, I would say so. I had a great sponsor the last 3 years, which has helped me in my journey trying to get to the LPGA. But ultimately, like it's still not enough. Like you still have to go out there and make that extra money to keep going towards the end of the season. So like they gave me like a lump sum that's like, okay, this I know this is going to cover at least half of the season. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do with the next half, whether that's winning, whether that's doing outside events, whether, that's going home and working, or, just I got to figure out what all that is left when I'm done with that first half. Okay, how am I going to get to this half? But no, it's stressful. I mean, you can probably ask every single girl out there and they'll tell you the exact same thing. But that's life on tour. That's exactly what it is. I mean, and I'm one of the lucky ones. I actually try and save enough money and to where my husband can come out, so he can save enough money so he can come out and support me, which I think is fantastic, because I was looking at some things last year and I realized that I only made one cut without him, and all the rest I made, I think I only missed like one or two, which was nuts. So he's still hired. He's still hired for 2022. But no, I mean, it is a lot of work to be out there, and I can't imagine somebody doing it by themselves, all on their own. So it's challenging.
Yeah, and golf, obviously, like it has its reputation, and I think this is changing. People are realizing it's not all this way. Of course, with the typical golf, like cliche is that people coming from country clubs, wealthy environments. It's like I even had a friend. I'm not going to name names, but basically his family was well off. He wanted to pursue his professional golf dream after college, and I believe the scenario was, hey, we'll take care of everything the first 2 years. Like we'll pay your rent, your membership at golf course where you need to practice, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's not a lot of people that the reality is that is not like a very common thing. You just don't have people that can pay for 2 years of everything to pursue dreams. I'm curious if you can talk about a typical day, week, and say a month on the now Epson Tour. I will try very hard not to say Symetra Tour.
Right.
It's going to be a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of break down like what a typical day is, practice routine or whatever, and then what a week, and then the month, travel, the whole thing.
Okay. So, say a tournament is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I like to get in on Monday, whether that be, I want to get there early midday, just because I want to go out and at least see the course or go putt a little bit or drive around do something at the course, just to know your surroundings. I think that helps a lot, know where the bathroom is or know where the first tee is, or, things like that.
Yes.
The essentials. But no, I like to get there on Monday. And then Tuesday is kind of when the first official practice round happens. So I'll get out and play, most likely in the morning. That way I can have my whole afternoon. I really am a person that likes to relax in the evenings, whether it be watch a show or go to the ocean or, do something, see something if I've never been there before. So I like to do that. So then relax. And then Wednesday, same thing, practice round, or pro-am. Forgot about that. Wednesday sometimes could be pro-ams, which is fun. I love those. I love going out and hanging out with whoever it is, couple drinks, just have some fun. That's probably my favorite part about the entire week. I don't know why, it always is. If they ask me, you want to do a pro-am? I say, heck yes, I do.
I'm in.
Right. I don't know what it is. I just like going out, but that's like my typical day. I go out with a group of guys and, have some, not necessarily drinking, but go out and have some fun and talk and laugh and do all that stuff. So I love pro-ams. And then say tournament comes around, I like to get there about hour and a half early, just to not feel like I'm rushed. I just don't like feeling like, oh, I have to hurry up, get one place to the other. So I'll get there about an hour and a half early, tee off, and then depending on how well I do, that's how I gauge my practice routine. So say I was playing well, I was hitting well, but I missed a few, say, putts inside 10 feet. I'll go try and feel my way around like a hole all the way around and get the slope and the speed and all that figured out. And if that's all I needed to do, then, well, say that drill took 2 hours or say it took 30 minutes, then I'll be out of there. My mindset is I don't want to think too much. If you start thinking too much, you'll think, okay, well, what if I feel this? Or what if I feel this in my swing? So I just keep it light, keep it easy, and then get up and basically do that for the next 3 days and get on out of there.
On to the next event. So
Yep.
like, what was the busiest stretch for you last year? So I know there can be some stretches on the Epson Tour where it gets to be like several events in a row. Like what was that like? What was the busiest stretch for you?
Oh man, I can't even remember. Honestly. Okay, here's the thing about me though. I usually have no idea where I'm going next. So Jared, my husband, he does all the planning and I just show up and swing the golf clubs. That's literally the way I look at it. And which is super nice. But he's a planner. He likes to do that stuff. He likes to have everything, here,
Yeah.
here. He loves doing that. So that's easy on me. If I just like to show up and golf, then that's what I like to do. I like to show up and golf.
Wow. Wow. More envy coming over here. Coming over here. That is incredible.
But yeah, no, it's I honestly couldn't tell you. I think it's all the same. I think there was a few stretches in there that was like 4 weeks where I was getting kind of like just homesick. So then it'd be like that last week, I would just say, oh, I'm so ready to go home. I'm ready to go home. And then I go home for the, 1-2 off weeks that we get. And then that got out on the road.
Yeah. Well, it's nice. Oh, you talk about not having to think too much. And how your husband, who also caddies for you, does he do all the number stuff too? Or
our routine, which took a while to learn, don't get me wrong. First year out there was rough, but after that we found out what our routine was. So I'd shoot the pin and then he would give me, so I'd tell him, okay, it's 145 or something. And then he'd say, okay, well, we got 4 paces short, 4 paces to cover the bunker or, whatever it is. He'd give me all those numbers and we kind of gauge what the club is. But ultimately I have the last decision, but he'll be like, hey, I think it's 7 or I think it's 8 or, just regardless of what the number is. But no, he does good. He's a numbers guy, which is good. I'll tell him this is probably the best part about having him on the bag. So he's with him being a numbers guy and we have some wonky numbers out there, like minus 37 off of, some weird number. And he'd be like, boom, that's the number. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Cause I'd be the one writing it down in my book, like,
right.
Like elementary school math. That's me.
That's incredible. The perfect team. That's the perfect teamwork right there. So, right. Is he a golfer too? Or do you kind of converted him into a golf person?
Yeah. When I met him, he really started to get into golf. Because he only probably golfed once a year, maybe with his family prior to meeting me. So he's really gotten into it since we met.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's pretty good. He's like, for only playing not even 10 times a year, I bet you he's 80. So
that's really good.
That's pretty good. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Well,
but he does get to see some great swings like week in, week out. He should be able to capitalize on something.
Yeah, and his wife is freaking really good at really good at golf too. No, I think all the years I've been covering the LPGA and the Epson Tour since 2017, and I keep trying to get this osmosis thing going. Like, okay, I'm just watching like the best golfers in the world. I'm talking to them, standing 10 feet from them on the range. I will just gonna gravitate to me, and then when I go play, hasn't quite worked out that way. But I do think there's some positives to take from that.
Right.
So you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what are some of the biggest challenges of being a professional golfer?
I would say money is the biggest one. I think that's, anybody you ask will say the same thing. I would say, so money with sponsors. And then two, if Jared wasn't out there, I would say being away from home, being away from family, that's pretty tough. I mean, you're gone, I don't know, almost 30 weeks out of the year. I mean, that's quite a bit. I don't know. And I think just golf in general, golf can be frustrating at times, especially if you're out there on your own. Those first couple events that I was out there on my own, I was lucky to have at least my mom and my mother-in-law come out and support me a little bit. But it's lonely. It makes you get really mad and really happy all in the same hole, which is frustrating. But that's golf. Everything kind of, all those things just tie in, and that's what makes professional golf.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary of it. What are some of the most rewarding parts of it?
I would say, for me personally, being Native American and being currently the only women's professional golfer right now, I love that feeling of being supported by my community in Indian country, and just being, I guess, ultimately everyone's being supportive just for me in general. And then being, a part of women's golf, I think with it flourishing right now, everybody's kind of hopping on and being really supportive in that kind of aspect. But I think with golf, you just reach all these goals week in, week out. And I think that's what everybody, it brings you back. It's like just a normal, Joe Blow guy out there on hole 18, and he ends up sticking it to 2 feet and makes a par. That's what brings you back the next time. I mean, and that happens a lot. But no, like that's golf. That's the exciting part about it.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and you mentioned how it can be, a little bit ago, you said, make you feel so excited and so angry on the same hole even. And that's 100% fact. You could just like hit a big block drive and you're in like just so upset with yourself. And then by the time you get to the ball, like, actually, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with when you don't hit great shots? Because inevitably, even the best of the best, you hit bad shots. Even Tiger, we know all of these incredible recovery shots, but stand out in my head, but that's because he hit some terrible tee shots. So like, no shade, Tiger, but even the best, like it happens. Like, how do you deal with whenever you're not hitting the ball your best or you hit a bad shot?
I would say I'm pretty fiery out there occasionally, if that's a way that you want to put it. So you could see some emotion if you go out and watch me golf, but ultimately, I feel like I handle it pretty well. There's some occasions where I don't handle it pretty well. I think it leads into the next shot a little bit. But if I handle myself well, if I take a few deep breaths, and I mean, because you're allowed to get mad, you're allowed to be like, where the heck did that shot come from? So I think it's just that next shot, if you readjust yourself before that next shot, then it's no problem. So I'm okay with saying you can be a little fiery out there, because it's, sometimes that's the kick in the butt that you need sometimes. So
yeah. And so when you're playing in the professional events, it's required to walk at the majority of them, especially you playing on like the Epson Tour, LPGA Tour, you're walking. When I'm playing golf, okay, I gotta stop. I'll stop bringing up myself, I promise. But I know when I get frustrated, if I have that walk, it tends to help me, like, versus when you're playing in a cart where you're like at your ball like almost immediately. I feel like the frustration might linger a little bit longer.
Or you get in that cart and you just slam on the gas and slam on the brake.
Yes. No, I don't want to admit to doing that, but occasionally, yeah. Do you think that walk helps at all, or would
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely think it does. I mean, I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm weird. I can be fiery, and then I can be like, oh hey, look at that hawk that just flew by, and then it's like an instant, like, okay, you're in like your next phase of, your next shot. You're looking at shot number 2 right now.
Yeah. How does I was gonna actually talk about your husband and caddy. Jared is his name. I was gonna talk about him a little bit, but how does that relationship work out when you're at the golf course? Like, is there husband mode, caddy mode? Is it a combination? Is there like, how does that work?
Um,
We're still work in progress.
okay, so in 2018, that was my first. I spent half a year out on the Symetra, but now Epson. And it was such a learning experience just because we were newly married and he didn't know what he could say and what he can't say yet. And that would kind of make me mad or make me frustrated. So it was a huge learning experience because there was a few times I looked at him and just say, did you really just say that to me? But no, we finally learned our routines and what if I am mad, okay, he'll kind of step away, let me walk a little bit, and then he'll be like, okay, let's focus on the next shot. So like he's really positive in those aspects. Or for instance, at the Circling Raven event last year, when I was coming down 18 and it was if I birdied, I tied the lead. So I can just feel myself like kind of tensing up and getting a little nervous. And all of a sudden I just look at him and I said, can you just like hug me? I just need some like something to calm me down just to so he's like, he had his arm around me with the bag and he's like kind of like going like this on my shoulders, be like, okay, you're fine. And so like it's things like that where I feel like if it wasn't Jared, I don't think I could just say, hey, put your arm around me and make me feel better.
Right.
So in those instances, I think it's great. Him on the bag is probably better than anything I could really imagine, or for anybody to have somebody on the bag like that.
So I do want to go back, and I was scrolling through your Instagram and I found a post that you shared in 2018. I'm going to read it. It's a letter to your future self.
Okay.
Dear Gabby, remember what got you to where you are. Your dreams and goals have led you to become who you are today. You have gone through some tough times and overcome it all. The only person who can beat you down is yourself. You are your worst enemy. If you prove to yourself that you can overcome the worst odds, you'll become great. You will become greatness. I thought that was really, really cool. But what does that letter mean to you today?
What post is that? Because I remember writing that. I'm trying to think. I might have wrote it when I was in Texas Tech for something.
I believe the caption to the post said you found it and you wrote it like your sophomore year, maybe at Texas Tech.
Yeah. Okay, I know exactly what it was. In a leadership class. It was in a leadership class that they had us write a letter to ourselves before we graduated that we would get to open it back up, and it's actually really cool.
Yeah. What does that still? Do you think those words still apply today?
Oh yeah, they definitely do. I mean, like there's new things every year. There's new obstacles you always go through, and it's just what you do out of them, what you come from them that's where that greatness comes from. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that you're on the way too. And a part of that of your success, it's never about just yourself. We talked about your husband, but there's people there helping you along the way. So I just wonder if you could talk about the importance of people and organizations that are giving you advice, encouragement, and assistance. I just want to highlight a couple. One of them being Notah Begay.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you know him. Like, what is your relationship with him, and when did you first meet him?
So when I was back at Texas Tech, he actually, I think, grew up with my head coach, JoJo Robertson. And so he found out that I was Native American and that at the time I was number 1 in the country. So he reached out to me and he was like, hey, I want her to play in, I think it was like some sort of pro-am thing. I can't really remember what it was. But I couldn't because I had a different tournament. So I met him through that, and he's just became like my mentor, my friend, somebody I can call when this game just makes you frustrated. And he will give me this whole explanation of why golf the way it is. I mean, just his words. I mean, he probably gets tired of me just saying all the time, but he just talks and it's like it hits you like in your heart, in your soul, and you just know exactly what he's meaning by what he's saying. It's like, but he, he's in the golf world. He sees the ins and the outs, and he's been there, done that. Everything that he's done is what I'm going through. So he knows everything about the way I feel and the tournaments so his expertise of what I go to is like phenomenal.
Is there, of course, you don't have to share any, but is there what's some advice or things that he has talked to you about or given you over the years?
Well, the one that sticks out to me is actually a few weeks ago, and we talked about my 2021 season and what went good and what went bad. And he's like, I want you to grade yourself on what you did, A, B, C, D, F. Like, how do you think you did throughout the whole season? And he asked me about one tournament in specifically, and it was Circling Raven, because that was my lowest score and I played the best. And he asked me, so like, what was different? And I said, to be really honest with myself, I practiced probably the hardest for that tournament because I didn't want to look crappy in front of my friends and my family in my home state. I just didn't want to do that. And he's like, well, it's something about him. He brings out everything in you. And honestly, it was like this like aha moment. It was just like, well, now I know what I need to do. I need to do what I did for that tournament for every tournament. So it was just like, I don't know, it's like, and you don't even think about it in the moment. You think you're doing the best you can week in, week out. And then it's like, you look back and it's like, no wonder why I played so good. I did everything I could to make sure that I performed at my highest level.
Wow. So, and when you look back on that week, though, when you say you prepared harder or like practiced hard, what does that mean exactly?
To me, it felt like I was more focused and in the moment. So, and I feel like I wasn't as upset after some shots where that kind of went crazy. So, I got to the golf course, my same hour and a half, and it was just, I felt more in the zone. Like I knew what I was supposed to be doing. I know what I need to get done. And then it's like, okay, next thing, until I got out to my tee time. And then after, okay, I think one day it was like my irons or something. So I went to the driving range and, it could have been, I don't know, 45 minutes, but I had my headphones in that day because I wanted to kind of feel, and I never have headphones in, like ever. I just like listening to the golf shot. I know I just do, but I just had it in and I just kind of zoned in on what I needed to do. I mean, I feel like I do that without headphones, but at that specific time, I felt like that was what I needed to do. And got in that zone, showed up the next day and did it all over again. I mean, it was just, I just feel like I just hit this next level of focus of golf, which I need to do more of that.
I feel that's something that professional golfers everywhere, I'm sure they relate, like figuring out how to grasp that for longer periods of time. Do you think, I mean, I guess some of that has to do with, you said, not embarrassing, which I don't think you would have done anyway, but not embarrassing yourself in front of your friends and family in your home state. What's the experience like playing in front of your friends and family? Does it become a conscious thing? Like if there's someone at a tournament you're playing that that's not normally there, for instance, does that stick in your mind or do you get locked in pretty well?
Honestly, I'm really like a people person. Like I really like to talk. I like to laugh and have a good time. And whenever somebody's there, so I was really thankful for my mother-in-law at the Copper Rock event. She was there last year and every good shot, every whatever, she'd clap and then say I'd birdie. And then I'd look at her and I'd be like, yeah, like something really exciting. And it keeps your spirits up. And I feel like maybe that's kind of what happened out there. Everybody's rooting for the home state girl, or just you feel this positive energy behind you. And I think that's probably what I kind of wrote on the whole way through the week. But honestly, it's great having people that you know are there, or even if it's just some random person and they're like, "Hey, Gabby, I'm rooting for you this week." That's positive. I mean, even if I don't know the guy or the woman, it's always nice to hear that.
Yeah, I remember some of the first professional events that I went to. Well, they were PGA Tour events. Close to Ohio. Went to the Bridgestone Invitational when it was still at Firestone, and those were different because there was like thousands of people. You blend in. But I remember unfortunately, like, it's changing. But going to my first professional women's event, it was actually the UL International Crown in 2016. It was in Chicago. And the person that I knew, like, got to the course and just went to the first player that I knew was Minji Lee. It's like, okay, I'm just going to follow her and follow the group. I followed her group the whole day. And there was probably like a total of 9 people in that group. And I was like, and I felt in one way it was really cool. I was like, wow, like there's no one blocking my way, my side. But at the same time, it was a little sad. It's like, these are the best golfers in the world. Why are people not here? But then I was just wondering how, like, do the players know that who's there? Like, I don't know. It seems obvious. It seems pretty obvious that they would know who's there. But for some reason at that time, I didn't know. It's like, do they know who? And like, as I got to know people on tour and I started working with the tour, it's like, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you obviously, like, when, like, say another girl's parents are there and, they're there for her, and it's still nice to, like, they'll clap for her when she makes birdie, or even if you still make birdie, they're there clapping. It's just that feeling like, oh, I did good. It's like a little kid, I did good. But I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, it could be some person I don't know just out there watching, and they're clapping for you at good shot, and helping you look for your ball if you need it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's only got 3 minutes now, but no, it's great. When people go out there and watch, whether it's a small crowd or a big crowd, it makes a difference.
Yeah, I feel like, especially, maybe you could talk about your experience on this, but the difference of a highly attended event where you have spectators at most greens, or then tournaments where there's not so many people, and say you hit a shot into the green, and if it's a good shot, usually there's a clap, there's an acknowledgement that, okay, it's a good shot. But then you have times where there's nobody there and you hit it. I'm sure you're like, that felt so good, but then there's not that acknowledgement of that it was good. Like, is it good? Like,
so Jared and I, there's a few times that we'll play with some girls and their parents are there, and they clap for every good shot, right? Yeah. So they hit a good one, they're clapping, and you're next, and you hit it, and I'm like, man, like, or Jared and I say something to each other. I'm like looking at him like he's over there. But anyways, we say something to each other. And then something along the lines, Jared goes, well, it must not be very good. I didn't clap. So that happens. It does happen. It crosses your mind when people don't clap, and they usually clap for a good shot. It's not as close as you think it is.
But if you had the opposite, like, once you get up to the green and you're just like, you stuck it and you're like, hey, why did I not get any claps? Yeah, I was all upset for these like 170 yards walking up here because I thought it was not good. It's like, right. Have a tap in.
Oh gosh,
you're gonna save me.
Golf, though. That's golf. That is golf.
That's true. I didn't want to talk about the circling Raven Championship because, as you brought it up, it was your best finish, tied for third. That final round, 7 under 65. Not a bad way to finish.
No.
I mean, I'm saying that sarcastically. It's a really, really great way to finish. So you get to the 18th green, and you talked about you had that putt to, at the time, it was to tie the lead, and it was not definitely not a gimme. Looks like you hit a good shot in there, but I was watching the video back that you had shared on your Instagram. Shout out to you and your Instagram. You know what?
That's my mom. She did that.
Your mom recorded that?
Yeah, she recorded the whole tournament, which is awesome.
Oh, shout out to your mom. Yes,
Right?
that was awesome. I really hope that the Epson Tour, I almost said it again, but the Epson Tour gets some more video involved, like maybe some more cool things. That's the next step, getting some televised or semi-televised events going on. That would be really cool.
Mhm.
But it sounded like, okay, I just want to know, like, what was your feeling? You told me a little bit in the fairway, but like when you got to that putt and once you hit the putt, made the putt, I saw the fist pump, but what were the emotions? What were you thinking after that?
Um, well, so after I was in the fairway and walking down, he's, giving me a back rub, making sure I'm okay, not gonna hyperventilate. So we get to that second shot, and it was actually a really good number. It was slightly downwind. I think I hit 9 iron 130, I think it was 136 or 137. So a little help behind us, which should have been perfect, which it was. It was pin high, slightly on the right. And I just remember not really like being in the moment, but not to the point where like I was over analyzing or overthinking, overdoing it. And that whole tournament, Jared sometimes helps me with like reading greens and stuff, but that whole tournament, I said I want to just make sure everything's on me. Like I don't want to feel like, oh well, he gave me a bad read. I hate doing that. So I just said, I'm just gonna feel every putt this week. I want to make sure that whatever read I got, I'm gonna go for it. So we ended up doing that the entire week. But that last putt, we kind of talked about it just because I wanted to get some reassurance. So he obviously wasn't going to tell me any different than what I thought. He just was going to say, "Yep, that's the read. I think that's going to be great. It's going to be, just staying
Yes.
positive with what I had." Um, and I kid you not, I just remember breathing, trying to slow down everything because my heart was already going a million miles an hour, and I just feel like I was starting to shake. I don't know, just it was very, very different. I haven't been in a spot like that in forever. So it was a new emotion. It hasn't came since probably college. So it was coming back
Yeah.
at that point. But no, it was like you just stood over the putt and you knew it was going to go in. It was just that weird feeling that you were putting good all day and you just knew it was going to go in. Well, you were hoping it was going to go in. And then when it went in, the crowd was just like, it was like a lift of like weight just off your shoulders. Oh my gosh, I just made this putt, and everybody's going crazy. And I don't know, it was just like the best moment of professional life so far.
That like, especially to see that at a then Symetra, now Epson Tour event, you just and there's some stops that I know like the fans, spectators, and at the especially at the end of tournaments where volunteers, they start to gather and there's members from there, they
Mhm.
start to gather and you get a nice uh, round of support. But this one, it sounded like even in the video, like it just sounded like it was a special support. So,
Yes.
and it's kind of, I mean, as we know a little bit, being in your home state of Idaho, and it was the first professional women's event to take place there, right?
Hmm.
So when you got that schedule, like how psyched were you to see the
So
Idaho?
I actually helped with like a promotion back in, was it 2020 or 2019? But then they ended up not having it because of COVID, so it got pushed
Ah,
back another year. So that would have been 2019. But no, so I knew it was going to be there. I was super excited just because going to school at Texas Tech, my parents or my family never got to come and see very many events just because it was so far. We were a lot of East Coast, Texas area. So they never really got to come out and watch. So that was really cool to get some people to go out there and, it was still 6 hour drive. It wasn't an easy drive from home, but at least I was still home.
you know the that is also like mind blowing to me too. Um, First of all, like the United States is really big, but being in the mid, like being in Indiana, it's 6 hours. I could get through the whole state. It's like from the northern, but I out west. It's hard. It's still hard to fathom like how big states out there get.
Yeah.
It's like,
Hmm.
oh, you're not that far. Like it's in your home state. Yeah, stop by. Like come watch. Well, it's pretty much like
Yeah.
you're going to stay. Like stay the make plan on staying the night.
Yep.
because a 6 hour drive twice in a day after watching golf does not sound
No,
ideal. So shout
they're
out
never
to
fun.
everyone. Like, what did it mean to have them, all these people out there supporting you?
Honestly, I couldn't be like happier about it. Because everybody wants that support. I know some girls get that when, we have an event in their home state and they know, hey, you're so and so from New York or wherever we are. So they, everybody who's in there, they're always looking for that girl that's from New York, that's from Alabama. That's just the girl that they look at. And so being that one for the first event in Idaho, it was like, okay, let's calm down. We can do this. But no, it was fun. I loved having, an event here in Idaho.
The mixture of emotions, like
Yes.
battling the excitement with the, oh, this is low key some pressure to perform well. And then you put on your
Yeah.
best performance ever. That's
Hmm.
awesome. I did want to ask you about another, talking about people, talked about Notah, but company wise, Nike and the Nike N7 collection. So wondering if
Hmm.
you could, first of all, explain what that is.
So the Nike N7 Fund is to get Native American and Indigenous youth active through sport and like physical activity programs, just so they can, lead their like happier, healthier life, which is awesome to be a part of, being Native American and being kind of that stepping stone. I'm hoping for are you there?
Yes.
Okay. To hopefully be that like stepping stone for like the generations after me, which is, that's very, very important, especially for my culture and my community. I think that's awesome. Yes, I'm very, very thankful to be a part of it. So I actually became a part of it back in 2018, right after I graduated. We kind of Sam McCracken, the guy that created N7, he reached out to a good friend of his who knew me, and he knew that I was going to start pursuing professional golf. And he just asked if I wanted to become a part of the N7 family. And I'm super glad that I did.
So kind of random, but I've known about the N7, at least the collection, the line, the organization a little bit for a while. Do you know the Schimmels at all? Like
I have
Shoni,
not met
Jude?
them. No, I have not met them. I was supposed to, but I didn't.
Okay. Because I know, just looking at some of your doing some research on you before. I know you played some basketball, and I was the biggest Shoni fan. I I got like her jersey shirt. I went and watched her play when in the WNBA when she was still playing. And then I know Jude was at least like a part of the N7 at some point, but anyway, just random. Not golf related necessarily. So the last person that I had to talk to you about, as far as the people and organizations kind of help you along the way, well, we talked about him, your wonderful husband and caddy, Jared. So you said a lot of positive things about him. Any other last notes on your amazing caddy and supporter and yeah, all those amazing things?
Um, Honestly, he's just I I just there's no words just because for him to have his job on the road. So his family owns a bar. So he does all of the like the online stuff. So he does all that while we're out traveling. So for him to kind of give up a lot of things to be able to help me in my dream of becoming, an LPGA member, it's incredible. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no words to describe it. Just for him to basically give up everything for my dream is just something I could have never really asked for in a spouse and a partner, going through this crazy life with. But he's willing to do it, and he knows how much it means to me. And hopefully one day I'll be able to repay him with that. But no, he's fantastic, honestly.
I, of course, I don't know him that well. Honestly, like we've met before, but we never had a super deep conversation. But you're awesome, Jared. You're awesome. Okay, so this is a little bit backwards of order, but I'd be remiss to ask to go back in time to where it all started, because I am very curious how someone from the state of Idaho ends. There's not too many of you out there playing. I don't know about professional sports, but especially professional golf specifically. I think winters must be really cold. I don't know. So how did you get started playing golf, and at what age did you start playing golf?
So I started playing golf at 6. But it was really like a hobby. I was into like basketball and volleyball and soccer and tennis, and I played probably every sport there probably could have been besides softball in Idaho. And I don't know, I loved basketball. That was probably my passion, and then volleyball soon after. But golf kind of was just that sport that just kind of kept me going through the summer. Um, and it never really became like a passion or a love of mine until I was maybe 13, 14. I always say it's probably because it became more of a fun activity for me. So more friends. I had a golf team now at high school. There was, time to hang out. It's like social stuff is what I really liked it for. Because that's kind of what basketball and volleyball was. You have your team, you're always hanging out with them, you're going sleepovers, and that's all you really do with those sports. Or travel, that's what you do. Where golf, it's all on your own usually. So I think that's kind of when it started to become a huge deal, just because, and my sister, she was playing, so I got to play on the high school team with her, which was awesome. So that was fun.
Super cool.
Hmm.
So when did you know that you were wanting to play at the next level, like pursue college golf?
Um, I want to say I kind of around 13, 14, I knew that I was pretty good at golf. I didn't know how good, but I knew that I was, decently good. And then that's kind of when I started to get into watching golf and learning more about it and the swing and all the ins and the outs of it. And I think that's when I started to really think, well, what's after high school? What's after this? And so then it became around junior year when I was, oh, well, I can actually go play, college golf. And then it became like, oh my gosh, the next thing. And the funny story behind that is I remember already committing to Texas Tech, and I was still playing volleyball at the time. And I remember we made it to state, and my coach for volleyball, she was contacted by a college volleyball coach and asking, oh, well, like, has she committed to play volleyball somewhere? Where is she going? And she tells me this. She goes, no, she's actually committed to play golf, like at Texas Tech. They're going, no way. So yeah, so that was kind of interesting. But no, that's when I really thought about what are the next steps after, high school golf.
Oh, that's a great story, by the way. Because they are different sports, especially basketball, volleyball versus golf. You have like so reactionary versus
Hmm.
the much more methodical game that's golf. Um,
Hmm.
so as you started to think about that time, the next level in those earlier, who were some of your influences, or who are some people you looked up to?
Um, I would say my favorite of all time when I was young was Phil Mickelson. I don't know why, but that's just what it was. Um, but that I just really didn't honestly, to this day I don't watch much golf. I couldn't This is weird. I don't watch anything really besides like the Ryder Cup, Solheim, Masters, because I couldn't tell you who won. Well, actually, no, I could tell you who won the last LPGA event because I saw it on social media. But after that, I just don't like watching golf. It's weird, but I love to just play it. I love to go out there and shoot my own score. Like that's just the way I am.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame you there. Like growing up, basketball was the sport for my sport. I had a little goal inside that my parents let me convert into like I kept like putting on benches so I could raise this mini goal up higher and higher. And they just like let me play basketball inside. It was like I'd have a basketball game on the TV, and then at commercials I'd run and just like start playing. And yeah, I understand like as far as but golf's not that way. You could probably like
Hmm.
putt, but
Hmm.
put into a like a literal like a red solo cup or something, but you're not it's not the same thing. It's not the same
Right.
as playing, and it does make sense
Right.
considering you talk about playing 36 holes a day during the off season.
Right.
Okay, so 2014 state champion. You won by 26 shots. This an accurate thing that I read? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, say don't trust everything you read online. When I read it, I was like, I believe it, but 26. So 14 under total, 26 shot victory. What in the world? What do you remember about that time? About that week?
It was just, again, I'm out there with my friends. She still is my best friend. I actually got her to golf. She wasn't wanting to golf, but I made her golf because she was athletic, and I was like, I need another girl on the team. So she ended up coming out. So that was always fun to go out there and travel with her and, do all that good stuff. But it was just a normal day. I just go out there, and it was kind of a decently short course. So I think there were like a couple par fives that I could reach into like pretty easily. But the one thing that sticks out to this day, and the girls on a different team still talk to me about this after the round was over and we're all taking pictures. I remember this entire team just coming up to me and saying, "Hey Gabby, can I get a picture with you?" And that was like the first like true like celebrity like feeling that you get, like they actually want a picture with me. Like it's just weird, but no, it was that was the first like true moment that I was like, huh, okay.
Hey, I appreciate you saying comparing me and that, or I don't think you were actually comparing me, but said like, that feeling you get where like feels like because actually I have had it happen a couple of times. And did not know what to do with myself. When I was in Korea, I had some people come up and ask me for my autograph, and I was like, huh? What? And a couple of times people at tournaments, they like, Ben, and I like turn around. I was like, I don't
Who's
know.
Ben?
I was like, I don't know who you are. They're like, oh, I follow you, but like, whatever. Anyway, I have very few experiences, but I appreciate you like bringing me into that conversation. But I am not you. That's incredible. Honestly, I can't. 26 shots. So Texas, you said you went to Texas Tech. What was the recruiting process like for you though?
I went on a few visits to other places, and for some reason, when I took my unofficial visit, I just felt like it was home. And I tell everybody that, whoever I meet, because I'm not from a huge city in Idaho. I mean, it's decently big. It's probably about the same size as Lubbock, but there's only one mall. You don't really have much going on. And to have that same exact kind of home feeling for a college, I was like, yep, this is the place I want to be. College town, good football, overall, it was a really, really good fit for me.
So it was actually the visit and the surrounding, like everything just fit together.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's so much full of envy, but it's not good to be. It's not good to be envious, but it's so awesome. These great moments that you've had. So you get to Texas Tech. You won 4 times while you were there. You were the Big 12 Player of the Year in 2016. Can you talk about your experience while you were actually there at school?
There's positives and negatives to, everything. School, being new to college, there's just an experience that you experience, if you get what I'm saying. And and that kind of, got in the way a little bit, which is all right. That's a learning experience for me. But there's golf, and then there's school, and there's like knowing when to study, and you have to jump through all these hoops to make sure that you're eligible to play, but also get good grades and still have a social life, which I think was hard for me just because, in high school, it's different. I mean, I when I grew up, if we had a C, we couldn't play sports. Like that was just house rules.
Mm.
So that's kind of the way I took it in college, but you have a heavier workload. So you still have practice, you have workouts, you have a whole bunch of list of things. And now it's like, okay, well, how am I going to fit all this in, but still want to go to the movies with some friends? You know, it's, it is a whole thing that you have to work through. But once you figure out that routine, I thought it was fantastic.
What are some of the biggest lessons that you learned during that time, and that maybe you've carried them on to today?
Um, I would say a schedule. I've never really been a schedule person. I mean, and Jared still kind of does that for me now, but but like daily schedule, have a routine, make sure you're getting your stuff done. So still like working out, making sure you're emailing people back, messaging them back, giving people like sponsors, you know, that text saying, hey, I did well in this tournament. You know, just a list of things that you kind of have to go through, which is kind of what you learn in college. You know, you still have to do all these lists of things, ABC, and make sure you're still doing your work.
Yeah. Sorry, I know I'm laughing, but I have a tendency to laugh. That's so at what point did you realize that you wanted to or could be a professional golfer? When did that come onto your radar?
Um, I would say when I became Big 12 Player of the Year, which during that time I was number one in the country for, you know, college golf on GolfStat, or I don't even know, something like that. And
Yes.
and so that was kind of my first like, aha, I can play with the best. Like I feel like I can take this to the next level. I think I always wanted to try. I always wanted to try and play professional golf. Just to give it a shot, give it a whirl, make, you know, check my box. If I can't do it, then I can't. But if I can, then I'm going to keep going. But no, that was probably the first time that I really realized, okay, there might be something. If I work hard enough, I can maybe get there.
So you end up taking that next step, you turn professional. Actually, maybe I will save this conversation for another time we have to catch up, because I don't want to take you too long, take too much of your time. There's a few serious conversations, some other things we could talk about, but let's transition to this year. So 2022, what are some of your goals for this year?
Number one, play the way or practice, prepare, all of that like I did at Circling Raven. That's number one. That's the way I feel like I'm gonna get the most results. Two, I have made it my goal, and for me, like me and Jared, to everywhere we go, do something to experience where we are. So we do try to do that. So we're baseball fans, so we like to go to like every baseball stadium that we can. So I can't remember how many we've been to, but we've been to a few. And so we try and do that, just to do, you know, experience. How often do you really get to travel the country with your spouse or your significant other? Not very many people do that. Maybe once they retire and they get a motorhome, you know, like not very many people get to do that when they're 25. So
Facts.
that's yeah. So that's the next thing. But really just live in the moment on the golf course. I just don't want to take too much for granted. You know, if you get mad, that's fine, but ultimately it's not the end of the day, and you're not dying. You're not, you know, there's nothing wrong. You're out there playing the sport that you love and hopefully having fun with it.
I love it. By the way, baseball fan, do you have what Idahoans?
There's
What?
not one.
I know there's
one.
not, like, so who do you cheer for? Like, who's your team?
So my husband's a Yankees fan.
Mm.
Yeah, so I became a Yankees fan. But funny story, we actually went to a Boston Red Sox game with Yankee gear on
Ooh.
at Boston. So that was kind of fun.
Did
So
you
yeah, you're walking down the road and people are in your ear about Yankees fans. Yeah, it was not very fun.
so I was gonna say, I've been to Boston, but I haven't been to Fenway, and I've been to New York. I was in New York City just fairly recently, but before that's been a long time. But anyway, there is the reputation that it's true. Things are just, I feel, a little more fast paced. People are more aggressive in general over on the East Coast, especially New York and Boston. I can, like, major props to you guys for wearing Yankees gear. It's Boston. Oh my
Right.
gosh.
But you need to go to Fenway. It's pretty, it's
It
awesome.
the
The whole atmosphere is just fantastic.
the history, like, Yeah, I'm a
Hmm.
Cardinal. I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan. So yeah, I don't know. We're one of those smaller market teams that somehow finds a way to do pretty well, but knock on wood, I don't want to jinx.
Right.
Hopefully that continues. Um, so this is something I'm curious about. Although I think I might know the answer now based on things you've told me. But when the final schedule for the season gets released, what is the planning process like for you? Let Jared do everything.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No. So the way it kind of works for us is I kind of look at the schedule, and then so say we have an off week, and then I'll be like, okay, so the tournament starts on Thursday. Let's just say I want to get there Sunday night, that we have a full Monday, Tuesday to prepare. So I still have input, still have, the fast facts of what he's doing, but he mainly does it all.
Dang.
I know.
So,
My own personal assistant. Hey, Jared.
you know, that's the I mean, he's playing the role of agent there as well. Like
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
awesome. I mean,
I
that's
mean, he's
nice.
everything: agent, like assistant, psychologist, caddy, husband. He's got a long list of jobs.
Everything. And then he still finds time to help out with the family business too.
Yep,
Man, what a
exactly.
guy. Um um so is it probably a full schedule or like do you,
Hmm.
yeah, every event is the
Yeah.
plan?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's what I did for this last year. And it actually wasn't too bad. Obviously, everybody's going to get homesick by week 4 or 5 if they're out on the road. But honestly, I feel like the more you play, the more chances you have to make money, which means you're going up on the money list. That's the way I look at it.
That is true. And I don't know where the quote originates from, but like is it home is where the heart is? Home is I don't maybe I can get that. That
I think
sounds
that's right. I think that's right.
that's right. Okay.
I think
Um,
so.
but basically home is where you make it. And if you have someone like it's not just a caddy that you're traveling around with or a
Hmm.
friend. Like it's your husband, it's your family, it's your husband. Like I'm sure that helps a lot too throughout the
Yeah.
long year that can be traveling on professional golf.
Yeah.
Um, I feel silly even asking if there's any tournaments that you're looking forward to playing, but are there any tournaments you're specifically looking forward to playing?
Um, I always have a special place for Fire Keepers, Battle Creek, Michigan, just because back in 2018, when I had half a season there after I graduated on the Symetra, which is now Epson, um, it was the one and only cut I made that whole year, or the whole. And so even though I still placed last after I made the cut, but it was just that one feeling, aha, I finally did it, because that whole 2018 was rough.
Mm,
It was rough. So to finally just have, yay, I made $300. It was like the best feeling.
yeah, see, and that's another thing. I just feel like people that from the outside looking in, golf fans, people that know that professional grind, but it's all about these little victories too. And I imagine that like there's what the public at large, I believe, what they see is the Lydia Ko's, the Brooke Hendersons, the Lexi Thompsons, the Nelly Cordas that like from a teenager, they're suddenly like a top 10 player in the world. And that is just not reality for 99% of people. So like
Hmm.
normally it's I feel like you fit more of what is I would say conventional. I don't want to like it's
That's
a grind.
right. Yeah.
It's a grind. Like you work, you figure out, okay, am I good enough to be out here? You make a cut. You're showing that you can play. Like you beat half the or a significant amount of the field that week. Okay, so let me turn that into instead of 2 rounds, turn that into 3 rounds or turn it into 4 rounds. Something like it. It's the process.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
for the Epson Tour rookies, what advice would you give them, or would you get? Yeah, what would you give them? What advice would you give them?
Um, One, I would say make some friends, just because it does get lonely if you're out there by yourself. Especially with other rookies, if it's their first year, you can confide to them about, the issues that you're having, or, hey, how do I get signed up for, blah, 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 or, there's little things that maybe some person knows, but the other doesn't. But two, take it as a learning experience. Obviously there's going to be some girls that are going to, come out of the chute just on fire, and then others, they might not. It might be just one of those times where it's like kind of how I came out there, and it was a whole new learning experience. I had to learn the ins and the outs of professional golf, which didn't ever, take off as hot as I would have liked in the beginning, but that's where I feel like I've learned a lot. So it's going to happen. It's going to be one way or the other. I just think enjoy the experience, especially for the first year.
So all you rookies out there, this is wonderful advice. This is wonderful advice. Okay, so to get to this final quick portion of this wonderful interview, this conversation that we've had, some quicker questions. First one, who is Gabby outside of golf? Do you have any hobbies? What's your life like?
I would say, well, majority of the time when I'm not golfing, is during the winter time. So at home, I'm like a basketball wife, baseball wife. That's about it. I mean, I go to every single practice. I'm out there shooting hoops with them, the whole 9 yards. Like, I love sports. Sports is my life. Other than that, I got about going to bed about 9 o'clock and watching TV shows.
I was talking to Lilia a couple weeks ago, Lilia Vu, and I was like,
Mhm.
what's an ideal week, an ideal non-golf week? And she got kind of sad and was like, a week without golf is that's not a good week. And I was like, oh, like it was, I don't want to necessarily say refreshing to hear, but I know, like, just to hear that someone at the highest level still, like, they genuinely love golf, because I know that can be tricky when you turn like a passion into a job, or something that's fun into a job. But it sounds like you really enjoy it too, because you're out there playing 36 holes a day.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love golf. I love what I do for a job. I think everything about it is a blast. But for the off season, when I took like 6 weeks off, I love not touching a golf club for a little while. That was like the perfect little break. I got to do whatever I want. I could wake up at 11 a.m. and then, every day and then not have to worry about getting up at 4 a.m. to get ready and head out to the golf course. So it's like, to me, that is like the best refresher, just to go home and not have a plan and just relax for a little while. And then once it all picks back up, like what I'm doing now here in Arizona, okay, every day is the same thing. You get up, you do the same thing, and keep it all going till the end of the year's over.
So for that 6 weeks, was that no touching the golf clubs or zero?
Zero. Yeah.
Well, what was that?
But it's fine, because I feel like with all the golf that I did throughout the entire year, 6 weeks is like, to me, it's nothing compared to starting from March all the way to I ended in mid-December. Yeah. So, I mean, to be going that long and then 6 weeks just to take a little break, a refresher, I think it's perfect. Well, for me anyway, just to take a little break.
No, I agree. I think in your body, surely just the repetitions of everything, even just walking, it doesn't, I know walking is just like just walking, but that has to, all the miles, it would be interesting. Oh, I don't know. Do you have a Whoop? Do you wear one?
I do wear a Whoop, but we don't do the mileage, right? Or do we? No, we can. I think we can do the activity thing, and it'll track the mileage that you do. Maybe.
I think. Well, anyway. You don't have to track it, but I would love to see a year in total of how much professional golfer walks.
Right.
Okay. Are you superstitious at all?
I used to be pretty bad. When I was younger, like everything had a spot. Every golf club had a spot. If I take the head cover off, it has to be put on top of my golf club. If it's not there, I walk all the way back to my golf bag, put it back on top, and then go tee off. I mean, that's just the way it was. But now I don't really have anything.
You've eased up?
Yeah. Actually, There might be one. I don't like keeping score out on the golf course. So like Jared does my stats and he just does everything.
Like,
I just hit
you
that little
swing
white
the
ball
club.
around. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, shoot.
Do you have any nicknames?
The guy that I live with, him and his wife call me Gabinator, Gabzilla.
Cool.
What's another one? That's about it. No, there might be another one. I just can't think of it, but I know those are the two, the ones that they use.
Gabinator and Gabzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
The next.
Gabzilla, that's been engraved in me just because that was
Gabzilla.
my on my warm-up jersey in basketball when I was, I don't know, in middle school. That's what it said on the back, was Gabzilla. So not my last name, it was Gabzilla.
That's awesome. Okay, so don't be surprised. I'm gonna get to an event, and then hopefully you won't see me, and I'll just see you. And I'll say, "Yo, Gabzilla!"
Yeah.
That's me. Karaoke night. What is your go-to song, or what would you sing at karaoke night?
The only song I've sang karaoke is, it's a Dixie Chick song. It's called Landslide. That's the only one I sing. But I had to have a few drinks in me before that happens.
Relatable.
Oh.
Relatable.
Yeah.
I've only publicly done it a couple times. Both of them Nicki Minaj. Oh my gosh. But the songs were chosen for me.
What song?
Super Bass.
No, that's a good one.
It was good. Last time, oh my, the whole like this big group of girls, which they had to have fake IDs. They should not have been. There is no way. But they all like jumped up, like it was like 6 or 7 of them like came up in front of the stage area and were like singing along, going crazy. And I was like, this is I kept going. But I was like, there's no way that you guys are like, yeah. Anyway,
Oh gosh.
for dinner guests, dead or alive, who is coming to dinner with you? Who's joining you for dinner?
My husband, of course, every single time. Definitely Tiger. And I would say the last one would have to be Michael Jordan. Always wanted to meet him.
Okay. Yo, there's so many things that pop up in my head later, but I noticed in your Texas Tech bio that your favorite team is the Bulls. And is that still true today, or
no? No, it's not. It's now the Nuggets.
The Nuggets? Okay. I mean,
yeah.
They have a good team too. They the reigning MVP. Okay, I like that group. And for the last part, rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Early golf or twilight golf?
Early golf.
It's the only way you can get 36 holes.
Right.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Flying.
No pressure. That's not quite a rapid fire question, but flying, that's a good one. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Breakfast. No, dinner.
You could have breakfast for dinner.
That's the best.
It is
pancakes
really
and eggs for dinner. Oh yeah.
Yes. Would you rather play around with a full set of left-handed clubs or around with only your driver?
Left-handed clubs.
Do you have some experience playing left-handed?
I do, actually. I would say I'm above crappy, but it's still pretty bad.
Above crappy. You know what? That's really good. If you have, I'm just going to assume that you're great or above crappy at everything. That's what I'm thinking from moving forward. Okay, last question. 2 hole-in-ones in one round or the course record?
2 hole-in-ones in one round.
Yeah?
Yeah. because we all know what happens when you get a hole in one.
What happens if you get two? That's gonna be
It's game over.
yeah, legitimately. By the way, do you have any hole-in-ones?
I have 5.
I'm gonna have to interview an amateur golfer sometime. So when I ask them this question, they can say 0 like me. But no, everyone has to be like, some people are like, honestly, I lost track. Like, you lost track. Okay, that's so nice. Do you have any course records?
I do, but I can't remember. They were when I was younger. They're in Idaho.
So you're the course record kid. Yeah, somewhere. Well, Gabby, thank you so much for taking some time to talk, and best of luck this season. I'm
Thank
really
you, and
looking.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Sorry for a couple
It's been a
of
blast.
the delays there, but it's been a lot of fun. I look forward to. I'll see
It
you
has.
sometime. I'll see you sometime soon.
Okay, cool.
Sounds good.